Jan, one of the economists that yesterday evening changed their forecast and now expects 75 basis point hike tomorrow. Why?
Because it's difficult to explain otherwise. If there wasn't a pre-decision made that to go 75 basis points, it's difficult to explain why we were reading this article, because the guidance had been pretty clearly for 50s, and this was a significant change in tone, and I don't think that happens without a reason.
So what do you think is going on inside the Fed? You think they're starting to panic about higher than expected inflation?
Well, I think they were rattled by Friday's data, both the higher core CPI and headline CPI with unfavorable composition, because you've got rent and owner's equivalent rent coming in high. There was a significant increase in the University of Michigan 5 to 10 year inflation expectations number. That's a very important measure for them. So I think that's the trigger. Now, my own view is that if you look at the entire context and other data releases that we've gotten recently, the flat unemployment rate, the somewhat higher claims numbers, the weaker average hourly earnings number, I think I would put that into perspective. So to me, it doesn't seem that as much has changed as this apparent leaning towards 75 basis points suggests.
So do you think this is going to be a mistake if that's what they do?
Well, it was a surprising decision. I mean, I think in the end, it probably, what matters more is what the end point is, what they're signaling about the path, what gets priced into financial markets. So from that perspective, it doesn't matter a huge amount whether you do, over the next few meetings, you raise by 150 basis points in 2 meetings or in 3 meetings. I don't think that necessarily matters that much. But it was surprising, and it is going to make it a little bit harder to put significant weight on, this kind of guidance given in FOMC press conferences in the future.
I also think you're going to get questions about the communication strategy, because that is one reason it was really surprising. At the last meeting, Powell said explicitly, we're not thinking about 75 right now. That's not under consideration. And here they are the week of the Fed meeting during a quiet period with some signals to the Journal and others. Our economics reporter also reported this last night, that 75 basis points is on the table. It does make you question that whole forward guidance strategy where they have gone above and beyond to be very transparent about what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean, they did give themselves an out and said, it depends on the data and things could change. My own view, again, is that things haven't changed that dramatically if I look at the entire kind of body of recent data releases.
So I asked you if the Fed was going to make a mistake. I do wonder if that's in the market now, the fact that this sets them up for a bigger policy error. They're tightening in a triple hike in a bear market in an economy that's starting to weaken. How does that end?
Well, I do think they've wanted to tighten financial conditions. So that's very clear. I think most of what's happened in 2022 so far in terms of where financial conditions have gone has been desired. What's less clear, I think, is whether we're now overshooting in terms of the tightening in financial conditions and the terminal funds rate that is priced in the bond market. I would say probably was starting to. So at this point, my best judgment is that probably we'd have a better chance for a soft landing, or at least the softish landing that Chair Powell has talked about, with financial conditions a little bit easier and an expectation of a terminal rate that's a little bit less than 4%.
But it's not. It's gone the other way.
It's gone the other way. So I think we're in the process of probably over. No, I mean, it's too early to tell, I think, because obviously financial conditions can shift. We don't know where the tightening cycle goes. There are a lot of other drivers, but I think we're more at risk of tightening financial conditions too much at this point.